Hey, this is Merritt Black with SMB Futures. If you're not a part of what we've got going on and you're a trader that wants to be on a professional desk, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but that's your goal, join us over at www.smbfutures.com to see how you can be a part of what we got going on. All right, so crude oil, January 16th, let's take a look. Here 10 minutes before the open, my post in the room. And let me make a point about this. The general nature of the way I do things a bit differently that I think is a lot higher quality than, let's just say, of a lot of other things out there. You'll find a lot of people who will give you 10 different levels for the session. Here's my levels for the day. I got a level at 59. I got a level at 97. I got a level at 46. I got a level at 40, and I got a level at 56. And sure enough, the market will trade to one of those levels and maybe even reverse. Let's say that this was a level. Clearly, we got to our 46 level, couldn't trade through it, reverse. It was a big deal. We're good at what we do. That's always going to happen if you throw up a bunch of levels. It's very different. What we do and what we teach, what our market profile course allows us to do, is to distill down information to understand what the market is doing and where that would change. And so what that allows us to do is to actually come up with key lines in the sand, where we're able to have a directional bias, where we're able to understand that there's a contextual shift underway when that area gets violated. It's a big deal rather than just trading a bunch of lines on a chart, guys. I promise. All right, off my soapbox here. So 5150s, you may have heard that recently, continues to be my main line in the sand. Let's draw it on the chart. And I'll tell you that my scenario was bearish, so let's make this red. My main hypo is that the overall move up yesterday and into the overnight high was a medium-term high for a push down to the big targets we've mentioned for a while. Let's just call it 4970s, nice and easy. But it's quite a substantial ways away, 4970s right in here. Okay. So the hypo 1 was for 5150s, get below there. Overall, this market's putting in a top. We get below 5150s and we move down to 4970s. The safest way to play this hypo would be on a hold below our line in the sand. It's important. You need to see a market be able to get below and hold below to trade it. Very important concept. A hold above 52 area slash prior value area high, which was right here. I believe it's 52.05, yes. So that general area there, if we're able to hold above it, that would have me open for long opportunities. So let's mark that on the chart. 52.05 to 52. And we'll make it green for a bullish area. So that's the framework here. Our ideal scenario is for us to get and hold below here to go with the short. But we're open to, if we get and hold above 52 area, to going long. Here's where we come to a very important realization about this type of a framework. Well, if I want to be short below here and we're unable to stay below there, what might I be able to do? Well, I might be able to get long and traverse this area. If I want to be long above this area and we're unable to get and hold above there, what might I be able to do? I might be able to short it once it fails to move across. So we'll talk a bit more about that. Another way of approaching this, and I think something that most traders need as a part of their plan, is simply where not to trade. Perhaps the answer for you is unless I get the pattern and the price action and the order flow and what I need to see holding either below this level or above this level, then it's a no trade zone. We simply have a no trade zone. Knowing where not to trade is just as important as knowing where to trade, where your opportunities are. Just as important. So what happens? We open right up at this line in the sand, can't hold below it, traverse up to our next area there. We attempt to hold above it here and we start to pull back. But is there really opportunity here? No, why not? Well, those of you that trade crude oil know that right here was where we were approaching our inventories release. So we got EIA report coming out, massive volatility, the liquidity dries up, we could move 50 cents in the blink of an eye. Not a place or time of day and time of week where we want to be initiating a position. So there's really no opportunity there based on that economic release. Once that fails, there were some really, if you're quick and you're watching some short time frames, you could get involved there. I know myself and a student were discussing and comparing executions in that area, but that's kind of advanced. So now we get down to our key line in the sand, we bounce from it, and this is a critical moment. We're now in hypo 1, we're holding below the level. We're below the level. Are we going to hold below it? We start to retrace, start to drift up into here, and boom, we pop right back above it, right back through it. This could be an area where you see just kind of a head fake through and then it continues, but there's no selling on the tape in this area as you look at the delta. So this is an opportunity. This was an attempt to break down, get us with hypo 1, and it fails. Not only that, but you see the failure and then you see the weakness on the retest. That's an opportunity to fade that. Same thing goes for up here. All right, we're headed higher now. Okay, I don't just short this level. That's not in my hypos. Getting short 52 is not something that I mention here. A hold above 52 would have me open for long opportunities. So here we start to get above 52, but what are we going to look for? We're going to watch the tape. We're going to look at the price action. We're going to look at patterns. What happens? Well, the sellers just slam it right back down. They're unable to maintain through that. And then we get a very weak looking retest. Notice on the tape here, not very much buying at all, despite us being kind of near these highs. There is another place to fade the failure of a hypo. One of the things we often talk about in the room is any idiot can look at a chart and tell you what happened. I sure hope that that's not what any of my recaps on these videos that I'm doing for you guys ever are. I'm never just looking at a chart and saying, well, we went up here to our level, we went up, we went down, we went up. We're looking beyond that. And in these situations here, what we're pointing out is not what happened, but what didn't happen. A real pro, someone with real screen time and experience, can tell you at the hard right edge of the chart as it's unfolding, perhaps right here, what didn't happen in that situation. And that can provide opportunity. So in either of these opportunities, whether it was the failure long there or the failure short here, we would have looked for first and foremost a reversion back into VWAP, which both opportunities would have given us. And then secondly, you can look for continued rotational behavior across to the other extreme, across to the other level that we have. So we would have gotten that off the long, but something happened here on the short. In fact, let's use our good phrasing here. Something didn't happen. So let's walk through this sequence here in a little more detail of the short opportunity. We don't short right here. Again, we're waiting for a long opportunity in this area. Potential long opportunity here, so we're definitely not going to short here. We're actually stalking longs. Well, that gets crushed. Order flow, everything tells us that the long's not happening here, so it's short opportunity there. We take some profits into VWAP. Once this thing breaks through VWAP, we expect VWAP to hold. We expect this to move down to this lower level, this other extreme over here. But then that doesn't happen. We start just kind of drifting. Order flow, as you can see, totally dries up. That's not an area where you want to continue to try and really make something happen. Certainly not an area or an environment where you want to initiate new positions. VWAP's flat. We're just kind of chopping around. But what happens is we had a couple of holds of VWAP. We try and push through, and now it holds from above. That's just a great heads up to that idea is not working. What's not happening? So a simple day where we had a really good area to keep us out of trouble. But if you were able to monitor what doesn't happen and take advantage of some of the failures, you could have a really successful day. We'll see y'all tomorrow.